Yo, what's going on YouTube? My name's Autobot Prelude. My goal is to cover everything hardcore related for Diablo 2 Resurrected. Today's video, we're going to be talking about early game rune words to strive for during your leveling process of normal and nightmare, and maybe a little bit into hell, but that's when you're going to want to start getting rid of some of this stuff we're about to go over. But needless to say, a lot of these things are going to help you get through the game and survive, which is extremely important for hardcore mode more specifically. So without further ado, let's crack straight into it.
Stay a while and listen.
With D2R just 2 short days away from release, I figured it'd be a great time to talk about early game rune words as we're all getting ready to roll new characters. Whether you be a returning player, a veteran, or just a brand new noob off the streets trying Diablo 2 for the first time.
Si no le ayudan a fabricar camiones, tú me daba mi taco, me caía al suelo.
There might be some stuff that you're not going to know off the rip. Just so you know, I'm going to put the Ariat Summit link down below in the description. This is going to be a useful website that's going to give you just about any information you need in the game. So unfortunately, casters get a lot more love in D2 than melee classes do. So a lot of these rune words do pertain to them a little more specifically, but all classes can benefit from some of these rune words. I'd like to actually start off with the leaf rune word for fire builds more specifically. This does not only pertain to the fire sorceress, but if you actually read, it says 3-2 fire skills. So any fire build can benefit from this. So that would be the fire trapper, the fire druid, and of course the fire sorceress can benefit from this rune word. It's a very, very good rune word early on, as you know, you get 3 to all skills in your fire category. Now, I'd like to move on to the stealth rune word. This is an armor that a lot of classes can benefit from, the biggest being the faster cast rate, the faster hit recovery, and the mana regen. Now, of course, you can't forget the poison resist as well, but nonetheless, the faster cast rate and the hit recovery are pretty nice early on. Next up, we have the spirit rune word. This is such a great rune word. It's probably my favorite rune word in the game. You get it at such an early level, being level 25. It gives you 2 to all skills, faster cast rate, faster hit recovery. It also gives you some vitality, mana, some magic absorb, some defense against missile, and the other stuff is controversially unneeded. But nonetheless, it is a great item for any caster in the game, especially sorceresses that are trying to teleport early on. This is probably one of the items I would say is a necessity for most casters early in the push of a ladder or a leveling process. Now, as far as shields go, you kind of have 2 options here with rune words more specifically. You have the Rhyme Shield and the Ancient's Pledge Shield. Now, I would really say this depends on your needs in the game and your goals. Rhyme is going to give you a little bit of all resist, being 25 all resist. You cannot be frozen. You're also going to get 25 magic find, which is very nice with the Rhyme Shield because, you know, you want to farm, you're looking for gear. Now with the Ancient's Pledge, if you're hurting for resistances a little bit more, I'd recommend going with that. As you can see, you're getting 43 cold and then 48 with the other 3 resistances. You just can't beat that much resistances on a shield. So it really just depends. Are you looking to magic farm? Do you not need resistances as bad? Or are you really hurting in the resistance category? And if so, you should probably go Ancient's Pledge, if that's the case. As far as helmets go with early game rune words, I'd like to talk about the lore helm. It's such a great helm early on. You know, it gives you 1 to all skills, gives you a little bit of energy, some lightning resistance, damage reduction by 7, which is pretty freaking awesome, especially for squishy classes like sorceresses. That damage reduction does help. Now, I would like to say the pretty neat thing about rune words in Diablo 2 is that as long as that item, that base item, is gray with the 2 open socket, if it has any other benefits to it, then you can still use it. So, for example, in this Falcon Mask here, this Falcon Mask already had 3 to Hurricane and 2 to Tornado. So by putting the Ort and Soul in there, we now get an additional 1 to all skills and all the other benefits that the lore rune word already offered, on top of what the helmet already had to begin with. Now keep in mind that this has to be gray. It cannot be blue or yellow with a 2 open socket. It will not work. So keep that in mind when you're looking to make rune words, as you might be able to make something pretty cool like that helm I just showed you. Now, once you start getting into Nightmare and even Hell, resistances become a big problem. And the Smoke rune word is here to save the day. In that category, it's going to offer you 50 all resist. Of course, you get a little bit of energy here, some faster hit recovery, which is really important as well, especially when it comes to just any class in general, but even more specifically the sorceress. When you're teleporting, if you get hit, you have a animation to recover from. This is going to help you recover through that animation a lot quicker, reducing the chances of you dying from a big group that you got stuck in. Right? So again, hit recovery is pretty important, especially early on when you're super squishy. Now, I'd like to talk about a rune word for casters more specifically that is pretty much essential. Now, some could argue you can go other routes, and you can. But me personally, I love the insight. We have a love-hate relationship, because I love to make the insight on just about every caster class, especially during the leveling process. But insight doesn't like to give me a good meditation aura. Now, of course, the meditation auras range here, but the biggest thing with insight is that it's going to give the meditation aura to your mercenary, an Act 2 mercenary more specifically, allowing you to get increased mana regeneration and, well, be able to teleport and use your mana a lot more efficiently without having to worry about running out so quickly. Okay, last up, we have our melee classes. I just want to briefly touch up on them. We have your Steel at level 13. It's a fairly good item to use for any melee class. You have increased attack speed and a little bit of open wounds going on there. Not too bad. It's something to use if you find a tier and an L and don't need those runes for anything else. It's an option, okay? Next up, we have Strength and Black rune words. With Strength, you have some lifesteal going on, some Crushing Blow, 20 to Strength and 10 to Vitality. So that's pretty solid there. And then you also have Black. That's going to come in with some increased attack speeds, some Crushing Blow, Knockback, and a little bit of Vitality. And just a little bit of magic reduction as well. Ideally, I'm not going to say to depend on these weapons if you're using a melee class. Chances are you're probably going to find something better as far as a rare item goes, or maybe even a unique item. But nonetheless, I figured it'd be worth sharing with you. If you found any of this to be helpful, please feel free to drop a comment down below and tell me what rune word you're most excited to make, and I'll catch you in the next one.